Welcome back to the Gardening with Joy and Holly radio show. Happy you've been with us today. It's time for your garden questions, our garden answers. If you've got a question, fire it on over here at gardentalkradio@gmail.com. That's our email address, gardentalkradio@gmail.com. Or you can send us give us a call at 1-800-927-SHOW. That's 1-800-927-7469. This question, Holly, is sponsored by Fleet Farm and fleetfarm.com.
I planted spaghetti squash, and what I have is not spaghetti squash. It's a cross of something. I planted it near zucchini and pumpkins. Could that be the reason?
Well, you've probably got a cross, but it's not because you planted it next to zucchini and squash. Those seeds have been created last year, harvested, given to you, you've planted them. So it was last year, wherever that seed was created in whatever farm in the country, that's where the cross happened. If you grow things together in like families, it's not going to affect the produce in which you have that's harvesting this year. If you save those seeds from this year and plant them next year, that's when the opportunity of that cross can be exposed, because it's taking the genetics from the pumpkin and from the zucchini and from the spaghetti squash, put them all in the seed and then growing it. That's next year if you save the seeds. We've had crosses of spaghetti squash cross with zucchini or pumpkin. It's not really the most appetizing of sorts. It's a very dense.
It's kind of woody.
Yeah, it's woody and dry and just kind of blah.
Yeah.
So you can try to see if it's something that you want to consume. It may or may not be. So that's what you got. Holly, let's go to the hotline, and we've got a question from a listener out of Chicago.
Good morning. Enjoy your show. I listen on WJOL out of Joliet, Illinois. Got tomatoes. The lower ones are red, ready to pick, and naturally somebody nibble on them like two little holes. I don't know if it's squirrels or a rabbit. Is it safe to cut that half a tomato or a quarter tomato off and pitch it, or is there diseases or you get sick from that, rabies or something? And then I get that knobby yellow cook wash, it's like a gourd, and there are bugs on there like box elder size, and they're black, and they are taking over the leaves, and they're almost done for the season, but it's amazing how big they are. I've never seen them before, and they run, and they can actually fly. They lay little golden type eggs, and then when they hatch, they're white with black legs. They're really creepy. If that's anything you can spray or just leave them alone, I cut the branches off to get rid of the infested leaves. And that's about all I know about them. We just made some soup out of it, cut off the bark on it. It's pretty good. Thank you. Have a great day.
Well, thank you for calling in and asking the question. There was a two-part question there about the tomatoes and about the bugs on the squash, Holly.
Yeah, so the first one is that if you have something that's eating your tomatoes, you can go ahead and cut off the bad spot and eat the tomatoes. It's not a problem unless you know unless you see it eating it and you know it's something that's possibly toxic. For the most part, everything that eats something in your garden is probably pretty much harmless. The second one is those, I looked them up here, and they are squash bugs, and that's pretty common in late season for the squash bugs to come around to your succulent plants such as squash, even cucumbers, pumpkins, things like that. They're pretty harmless at this point. They do lay their eggs, but they're not going to cause any issues because the plants are so developed. If for whatever reason you found these squash bugs earlier in the season, you would want to get rid of them, pluck them off the plants, and just destroy them. And then also try to get rid of their eggs as well. And they are the little I guess you call them larvae. They are like almost like a whitish light green color with black legs. They do look very strange.
All right, our next question is, I'm in Zone 5A, and I'd like to know if I can still plant bush beans at this time of year, or is it too late? Well, bush beans, let's start off with bush beans take 40 to 60 days to reach maturity or reach a producing state. And if you're in the beginning stages or early portions of September, that's going to push you well past the time in which it would be feasible for them to get it. The 40 days, 60 days would be where you 30 in September and 30 in October. Then you're pushing November 1st. And most times frost in zones 5A, 5B, it occurs anywhere from late September to the middle portions of October. So when we plant our fall crops, we want to think about, you can do a second planting of green beans, but you really need to, when is your first projected frost date? And that's an average over 10 years. So if it's October 15th, you would actually want to start planting your fall bush beans approximately 80 days, 70 to 80 days before that frost date. So you can allow plenty of time for those plants to get up, be mature, and then you can be harvesting them in late September and early October until that frost. Now, also keep in mind that bush beans are a heat-loving plant. It is a summer crop. So as the days get cooler and the nights get longer and colder, those beans are not going to produce the way they were producing in July and August. So you want to keep that in mind. Pole beans, on the other hand, in addition to this, pole beans take 70 to 80 days to reach maturity. Now, with both of these beans, we have found that by planting them in the spring, maintaining them, meaning harvest regularly, we can have bean production all the way up until that frost time, or the plants get so disraveled that insects take over, or they've just been exhausted from production of beans, that we are able to harvest them all the way up till frost. Prior years, and what many people are taught, is that bush beans, 40 to 60 days and to reach maturity, to reach a harvesting state, and then they'll produce for 2 to 3 weeks, and they're done. You pull them up and you start over. That's not the case. You keep the hydration to them, and you keep harvesting the pods before they get to a mature state, and you are going to have more green beans or yellow pod beans or royalty purple beans than you know what to do with. So no, you can't plant them now, but if you plan ahead and you maintain your plants and keep them hydrated, you won't have to plant late in the summer. You'll be able to continue to harvest those in which you planted in the spring.
For more information, please visit thewisconsinvegetablegardener.com.